Have you ever wondered why, despite your honesty, kindness, and sincere intentions, you still face failures? You speak the truth, openly declare your intentions, and step into the world with an open heart, expecting others to do the same. But suddenly, in a quiet and sharp moment, someone less honest finds themselves ahead. The more cunning receive the reward, and you begin to question what you did wrong. Let me tell you something difficult. The world does not reward sincerity, it rewards perception. And perception is a performance, a mask, a carefully chosen expression in the theater of human interactions. It is not about being fake, it is about being aware. While you speak from the heart, others speak with strategy. While you reveal your pain for connection, they gather that pain for control. And while you wait to be valued for your inner world, they create how they look, how they sound, how they are perceived by others. Machiavelli once said that it is not necessary to possess all the virtues, it is enough to appear to have them. At first, this sounds cold, even manipulative, but think about it. Do we not already do this? When you smile at work despite your exhaustion, when you say everything is fine while you are actually breaking down, when you hide your fears to protect someone else, these are the same masks. But here's the truth. Not all masks are lies. Some of them are shields, some are mirrors, some are survival tools. A lion does not wear a mask. It shows its fangs, demonstrates its strength. But a fox survives by wearing many, and in a world that often punishes openness, it is not the strongest who survive, but the most emotionally intelligent. The question is not whether to wear a mask. The question is which one serves you best and when, because you cannot control how the world sees you, but you can control what they can see. This is where the path begins, not only of fairness, but also of awareness. The kind that makes you think before you speak, that chooses silence over excessive openness, that understands that a mask, if chosen wisely, is not a betrayal but a form of protection. And those who know when to wear it can navigate situations. From childhood, you are taught that honesty is a virtue, that truth is purity, nobility, and always the right path. But here is what they do not tell you. Truth in the wrong hands can become a weapon, and honesty without discretion can lead to your downfall. Have you ever opened up to someone only to feel vulnerable afterward, shared too much too quickly, thinking that vulnerability would create a connection, but instead gave them an advantage? This is a harsh lesson that does not come from textbooks or inspirational quotes. It comes from pain, because not everyone around you values your honesty. Some only value what they can extract from it. This is where emotional self-discovery begins, not with the shedding of every truth, but with an understanding of the value of truth, the cost of too much being said, of too rapid trust, and of too deep a revelation. You see, honesty without boundaries is not strength, but capitulation. Often people confuse openness with sincerity. However, true sincerity is not reckless. It is conscious. It is the ability to discern when it is worth speaking your truth and when silence preserves it better. It is no coincidence that many of the wisest people in history were not overly talkative. They did not hide, but they contemplated, not with malicious intent, but with care, because they understood that every truth has its time. Every truth has its place, and not every ear deserves to hear it. Let me ask you a question. How many of your wounds have you inflicted upon yourself in the quest to be understood? This desire to explain yourself, to be noticed, to feel your reality. It is beautiful, but it can make you vulnerable, especially in a world where others do not play by the same rules. They do not care about your truth. They are only concerned with their own gain. You have a choice: to continue sharing your truth with those who do not respect it, or to protect it, to shape it, to release it only when you are certain. Because truth is not just words, it is a tool, and those who know how to use it do not express everything they feel, do not explain everything they think, gaining rare strength in this noisy world through restraint, influence through mystery, peace through self-control. So the next time you want to spill your truth just to feel closeness, stop and think, is this honesty or a thirst for recognition? Is this courage or a habit of self-sacrifice? Because truth is sacred, and not everyone deserves to hear yours. We cling to who we think we are, to titles, roles, labels. I am honest, I am faithful, I am not like them. This seems noble, stable, like a declaration of identity in a chaotic world. But when identity becomes rigid, it turns into a cage. And that is when we suffer the most. Because the world does not stand still. It moves, people change, power shifts hands. And those who cannot adapt, break. Machiavelli did not admire the most righteous. He admired the most adaptable, because life rewards not purity, but readiness. We fear adaptation because we confuse it with betrayal. If we change our opinion, we are inconsistent. If we change our behavior, we are false. But perhaps we should ask, is a tree false because it sways in the wind? Is a river weak because it flows around a stone instead of breaking through it? Or is it wise enough to survive? You can evolve, and you must, because the person you were in one season may not survive in the next. The tools that once protected you may now hold you back. The truths you clung to yesterday may no longer serve you today. Adaptation does not mean abandoning principles. This is a strategy update. It is the knowledge of when to retreat, when to behave quietly instead of with fire, when to walk away from a fight that you would have previously rushed into. Adaptation is emotional intelligence in motion. It is the inner voice that says, this no longer fits, this no longer serves, I am no longer that version of myself. But to adapt, you must let go of the need to appear consistent. Because consistency is often revered by those who fear growth. And what is the point of remaining the same if it costs you your peace, your strength, your place in a world that is constantly rewriting its rules? You do not need to change your essence, but you must learn to move. A lion roars in open terrain, but the forest survives in shifting currents. So who will you be? For survival is not about having one face, one tone, one rulebook, but knowing when to adapt, when to let go, when to become something new. Adaptation is not about fame. It is wisdom in motion. And those who have mastered it do not just survive. They thrive calmly, powerfully, and without pretense. You may believe that truth speaks for itself. If your heart is pure, your intentions clear, your work honest, others will see you as you are. But they do not see. They see the story, the surface signals you project. And in a world built on impressions, perception becomes reality. It is unsettling, is it not, to know that someone may misunderstand you and never doubt their judgment, that your silence may be taken for weakness, that your kindness may be perceived as a lack of strength, that being right is not enough if you do not appear so. Here lies the power, not in who you are, but in what you project. We are storytelling beings. We judge by symbols. We trust confidence more than competence, presence over judgment, and often follow those who appear knowledgeable rather than those who truly know. Think about it. How many times have you stepped back in a room, knowing the truth, but remained silent to watch someone louder, less informed, wield the influence that should have been yours? It is not just unfair. It is psychological. It is human. We do not see people clearly. We see them through frames, and these frames are built from body language, appearance, timing, and presence. The lesson is simple. Do not leave your perception to chance. Shape it with intention, not for manipulation, not for ego, but because you deserve to be seen with the same clarity that you carry within. You may be wise, but if you speak with hesitation, you will be ignored. You may be right, but if you carry doubts in your posture, you will be dismissed. You may be kind, but if you appear apologetic in your delivery, you will be taken for granted. This does not mean becoming someone else. It means aligning your presentation with your intention. You are already whole, But this power is not visible if it is not expressed with confidence. So ask yourself, what story are you telling? Just by being in the room, what energy enters before you speak? Because perception is not deception, it is design. And when you learn the design of how you see yourself, you not only influence others, you change your own reality, becoming the version of yourself that the world was always meant to meet. Inside you, there are two instincts. One roars, the other observes. One is a lion, bold, direct, assertive. The other is a fox, quiet, observant, clever. Machiavelli did not ask you to choose between the two. He urged you to become both, because only strength intimidates, but cunning survives. Strength without strategy is noise, and strategy without strength is ignored. We live in a world that punishes naivety, where the bold are crushed, where cunning without courage does not dare to act. So if you have ever felt too timid or too cautious, know this. You were never meant to be either or, you were meant to be both. The lion in you is the voice that speaks. Enough. I will not be trampled upon. I know my worth. He stands tall, he fights, he speaks with confidence, but he can be predictable, easy to detect, easy to target. This is where the fox comes in. The fox is your ability to read the room, without saying a word, noticing changes in tone, shifts in gaze. It is your instinct to wait, to plan, to know that retreat is sometimes the smartest form of strength. But most of us tend to gravitate towards one side. We either live roaring, exhausting ourselves with strength, or we hide, hesitating with every step, while the world rushes past us. Balance is where mastery lies. You need the fire of the lion to set boundaries, but you need the silence of the fox to notice the games before they begin. So ask yourself now, when was the last time you were too loud, when silence could have won, or too quiet, when strength required your voice? These questions pertain not only to behavior, but to identity, because who you become is shaped not by what you feel, but by what you choose to wield. You may feel anger, but use it with discipline. You may feel fear, but conceal it with grace. You may be underestimated and still prevail. The world may not expect both predators to reside within you, but they are there. You just need to awaken them. And when you know when to roar and when to wait in the shadows, you no longer chase strength, you embody it. We do not like to talk about fear. It makes us feel uncomfortable. We would rather be loved, admired, accepted. But here is the truth that few will say aloud. Fear achieves results that love alone cannot reach. This does not mean cruelty. This does not mean manipulation. This means boundaries, respect, a silent authority that says, I am not someone you can push around. Do you understand? Love invites closeness, but fear creates space, and in that space, order is born. Machiavelli knew that a ruler who is loved, but not feared, can lose everything as soon as affection fades, and the same applies in our lives. Because kindness without an edge often becomes an invitation to disrespect. Think about those times when you allowed someone to cross the line because you did not want to seem harsh. Think about those moments when you kept forgiving what should have been contested, all for the sake of peace, and in the end, you got chaos. Controlled fear. This is not domination. This is about presence, the tone in your voice, the stillness in your position, the gaze that says, you may not know my limits, but you will feel them. This is power, not noise, not violence, just confidence. The kind that makes others think before crossing boundaries. The kind that makes space for your world to exist without interruption. And here is the secret. People trust those who cannot be pushed around. They feel safe with someone who is fire, even if it is hidden behind calm eyes. So if you were taught to be gentle, forgiving, always available, understand this. You can be warm and still untouchable. You can love deeply and still be dangerous to disrespect, because when fear is used without cruelty, it becomes clarity, and clarity protects more than love ever could. Reputation is not built by what you say, but is shaped by when you say it, and what you leave unsaid. We live in an era obsessed with expression. Say everything, share everything, prove everything. But strength does not live in noise, it lives in pause. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are those who wait, who speak when the room is quiet enough to listen, who understand that time is a weapon and silence is a shield. Machiavelli warned that your image must be carefully managed, not falsely managed, because the world does not see your inner truth. It sees the pattern you present. And here is the pattern that deserves respect: measured words, strategic timing, intentional silence. You see, your reputation is formed in the shadows long before it is noticed in the spotlight. People remember how you made them feel, but also how you handled pressure, confrontation, success, loss. Were you reactive or were you restrained? There is discipline in holding your tongue, not out of fear, but out of control. It is easy to defend yourself, to correct every misunderstanding, but every time you do, you give away power, revealing more than necessary, speaking before they have earned your truth. Think about the most respected people you know. They do not rush to be understood. They allow misunderstandings to hang in the air because they know this: truth is most powerful when delivered with patience. In your silence, people wonder. In your stillness, they wait. And in that waiting, you will find presence. The world rewards those who can sit with tension, who do not need to explain themselves every minute, who speak so rarely that their words resonate longer. Let your silence create mystery. Let your time create impact. Let your steadiness become your reputation. And when you finally do speak, when you eventually reveal something real, it will cut through the noise like lightning in a storm. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is power in waiting. Not everyone deserves to know the real you, and this is not bitterness. It is wisdom. In a world where masks are often a means of survival, you still need a place where the mask can fall, where your voice does not have to be calculated, where your defenses can drop without consequence, where your truth is not a risk but welcomed. This place is your inner circle, not your followers, not your acquaintances, but a few sacred ones who truly see you. But here is what no one will tell you. This circle becomes smaller to measure your growth, not because you push people away, but because fewer people can withstand your honesty without flinching. Strength isolates, growth filters, and the more you master yourself, the more you notice who clings to your weakness and who respects your strength. Ask yourself now, who knows your fears, not to exploit them, but to soothe them? Who hears your silence and understands that it is not rejection but reflection? Who can withstand your fullness? Who is there without the need to diminish it? If you can name even one such person, you are richer than most. Because when you navigate a world full of spectacle, the rarest intimacy is found in presence, in the space where nothing needs to be said, where trust is not explained but felt. Guard this circle. Do not expand it out of guilt. Do not dilute it out of loneliness. Quality over quantity has never mattered more than in the realm of trust. You may play many roles in life: leader, fighter, strategist, survivor. But here in this space you can simply be, and sometimes that is all we need. Not more strength, just a place to let it go. There comes a moment of silence when you stand at a crossroads, to do what seems right, or to do what brings results. This is the dilemma that plagues everyone who walks the line between power and conscience. The Machiavellian mind does not waver. It says the end justifies the means, but you hesitate. You feel the weight of that price because behind every shortcut lies a sacrifice, behind every manipulation a crack, sometimes in others, sometimes in yourself. What is more important, to be effective or to be ethical? There is no easy answer. It is discomfort that most people avoid, not wanting life to be clean, right or wrong, light or dark. But real life is gray. Sometimes the right action lets you down. Sometimes bending the rules protects those you love. Sometimes silence hurts more than a lie. And sometimes a victory achieved honestly never comes. So what should you do? You look within, sitting in tension, asking not only what works, but also what you can live with. Because strength gained without peace becomes a prison, and peace held without strength becomes a target. True mastery lies in balance, doing what works without losing yourself, playing the game without becoming the game. Machiavelli may not have cared about morality, but you are not just a strategist. You are a soul in motion, so take this truth with you. The outcome matters, but the method matters too. Because at night, when the world is quiet and you are alone with your thoughts, you will be left alone with your choices. And if you can sit there in silence and feel at peace, you have already won. So is it better to be loved or feared? Perhaps the real answer is neither. Perhaps the goal is not to chase attachment or control. The goal is clarity. Because when you clearly understand who you are, what you value, and what you are willing to allow, the world responds differently. You no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer need to